Now that XRP has been placed on the fast track, I don't think this can be disputed. I posted a video on YouTube yesterday, pointing out that a company made a change to a significant filing with the SEC that should lead to the first ever spot XRP ETF in the US going live on November 13th, or perhaps a little earlier if the government shutdown ends. Very little chance that it will go beyond that. Really low. Therefore, we have a high degree of certainty that it will occur. Although we're not quite certain, we're pretty damn close. However, we now have additional evidence to support that. Look at this headline, huh? This is from Coinedia, I guess. November may see the introduction of the XRP ETF following Bitwise SEC registration. Thus, ProXRP, another significant company in the cryptocurrency space, has also modified their petition. I'm just going to conduct a little catch-up here to make sure that everyone is on the same page. The remainder won't necessarily make sense without this background, so it's kind of setting the scene, especially if you missed this news. However, this article was published by Crypto in America. Will XRP be the next crypto ETF to hit Wall Street? Is the title of an article written by former Fox Business Network journalist Eleanor Terrett. I'll just briefly discuss this before moving on to the next section, which is as follows. After an amended S-1 was filed last Friday, Canary Capital's XRP Spot ETF might be the next cryptocurrency fund to make its way to Wall Street. The delaying amendment that gives the SEC discretion over when the registration becomes effective is removed from the filing, which was quietly modified on October 24th. This opens the door for a possible launch on November 13th, provided that Nasdaq approves the important 8A to allow it to list. This is a perfectly responsible way to report on this, and my humble opinion is that yes, of course, Nasdaq can approve that. As far as I'm concerned, that's quite certain. The intriguing thing about this work is that it was released yesterday. As quickly as a Munbo could, I covered it. The intriguing thing is that, as stated here, the material was theoretically accessible to the public on October 24th. Because no one noticed this small detail, no one found out until a week later. This small nibble tastes good. Therefore, Eleanor Terrett deserves all the praise in the world for discovering and making this public. However, if the delaying amendment is removed, Canary Capital, the company that filed for the Spot XRP ETF, will have to take proactive steps to force the SEC to halt it. This means that the Spot XRP ETF will go live automatically on November 13th. This is why it's so important. In the video I did yesterday, I discussed this, so I was thrilled to report on it, right? Of course, if the government shutdown ends, it might actually happen sooner, but I don't think it's likely to go any farther than that. The current SEC chair, Paul Atkins, actually took over from Mr. Burns, who resembled Kim Jong-Gensler, the former Supreme Leader and SEC tyrant. Paul Atkins took his position. And take a look at yesterday's post. It's clear that he supports the strategy of eliminating the delaying amendment. As a result, he posted yesterday's MapLight listing here a few days ago. That business has nothing to do with cryptocurrency. The initial public offering, IPO, market is still open. During the government shutdown, companies are going public through the process that Congress originally intended. As a result, you might be sitting here thinking, wait a minute. Isn't it preferable to filing in a fashion that requires SEC approval if you can just file and it goes live immediately without any action on your part? Depending on your point of view, it appears that requiring the SEC to approve it in the manner that you file it has become the standard. The SEC is more likely to be amiable, I guess. If you file in such a way that you know you're not even attempting to have a conversation with them, they might think they might feel a certain way. By the way, if you remove the delay in a minute, you won't be having that back and forth with the SEC. In a technical sense, they can halt it. More likely, they will. The problem is that if you're a company applying for an ETF, you might say, no, let's be nice to the SEC. As if we're in second grade, I don't want to be on the enemies list, do I? I mean, that's a significant portion of it anyhow, and that's precisely why. However, Paul Atkins, the SEC's head, is now saying, no, This is the way that Congress intended it, that you should be doing it this way. Thus, it is successfully altering the norms. Quite amazing, isn't it? That's why Canary, which was the first company to do this for XRP, did it. In any case, on the 24th, they did it. I keep saying November 13th because of this. Yes. When the time comes, it will go online either on that date or earlier if the government shutdown is finished. It might happen sooner. In fact, it might. However, they are not the only company. Check this out, then. This is the headline. This is Coinedia's most recent one. November may see the introduction of the XRP ETF following Bitwise SEC registration. As I walk through this, you'll discover that other companies have realized what Canary did. When it came to XRP in particular, Canary was the pioneer. They did the same with other coins, as I said in a video maybe 2 or 3 days ago. Other cryptocurrencies, such as HAR, Solana, and Litecoin, have previously received approval. Well, I didn't say that incorrectly. The delayed amendment was withdrawn, therefore it went live already. It wasn't done for XRP, though. Thus, companies are now imitating Canary. They were the first to implement this modification. They submitted their filing to the SEC on October 24th. Oh, let's do with that one, too, is their attitude. Anyway, the article is as follows. Bitwise eagerly anticipated XRP exchange-traded fund may soon materialize. 2 significant elements were recently disclosed by Bitwise, the $15 billion asset management behemoth, and its 4th amendment to its XRP ETF application with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. According to experts, these revisions typically indicate the last stage before approval. The XRP ETF might launch in as little as 20 days if the SEC gives its approval. To be clear, they submitted this 1 week after Canary, yesterday. They are hence behind. This would go live on November 20th, I guess. Another large company has likewise determined that this is the way to proceed. To restate, Paul Atkins has stated that this is the best way to approach ETF filings in general, not just related to cryptocurrency. Oh, hell yeah, I'm thinking as I sit here. That's really wonderful. It's going to leave. For the record, these ETFs are backed by real XRP, which is why this is important if you own XRP. Therefore, it has a significant effect on the dynamics of supply and demand for XRP in particular. Therefore, it will have some significance in the near future, but I'm most interested in what it will imply in the years and decades to come. The amount of money that will flood into XRP as a result of that, as I often say, is something I still fully believe. I don't know the exact amount, but it's absurdly large. These are the ones who would not have otherwise made this specific investment. In any case, peace endures. Bitwise updated their S1 form by filing amendment number 4 with the SEC on October 31st. 2 important details are included in the most recent version of the paper. The New York Stock Exchange will serve as the listing location, and the management fee will be 34%. There you have it, people. XRP is trading on the New York Stock Exchange. My friends, XRP is making waves on Wall Street. The customer would be buying the ETF, of sure, but it is backed by real XRP. Thus, XRP is definitely having an impact on Wall Street. According to Eric Balcuna, senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg, Bitwise's most recent file is a significant advancement for XRP's foray into conventional finance. Adding the NYSE and fee means Bitwise checked nearly all boxes, he added. Finish the quote. He has nothing against Eric Balcuna, I'll just tell you that. He doesn't treat XRP or the XRP community like a troll. According to his numerous posts, he is not a supporter of XRP. XRP does not appeal to him. I think that's what it is. However, he's simply accepting reality here and saying, yeah, this is going to happen, so that I may at least be grateful for it. Thus, he might not have XRP derangement syndrome. He's not a troll, he's just wrong because he dislikes XRP. That's good. The article goes on to state that historically, issuers who include exchange and fee details in their S-1 forms are often waiting for the SEC's final approval. All right. We don't need to wait for the SEC to do anything in this specific issue. Bitwise doesn't look at this anymore. Right here is the crucial part. This is an authentic document from the SEC. It's from their website. This is the important portion. This is also for Bitwise. This registration statement is shown at the bottom left of your screen. According to the guidelines in Section 8A of the Securities Act of 1933, this registration statement will subsequently go into effect. That's what they're talking about, the 20-day timer. Yes, that's what's in there. Therefore, that sentence right there does indicate that you have 20 days until it goes live automatically. That is the meaning of that statement. That includes it. Therefore, it is highly likely that you will have Canary by November 13th, and then a week later, Bitwise. Of course, if the government shutdown ends, you may approve both of them on the same day. However, it could be tomorrow, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, or any combination of those times. Just saying. We're not sure. It might happen much sooner. Therefore, in my opinion, that's really awesome to witness. In fact, it is on the horizon. However, XRP has undoubtedly been placed on the fast track. People, it's coming. And the timing couldn't be better. We haven't experienced I hope this because I wasn't sure if we would have altcoins like the alt season by now. We haven't. This could be a rather serendipitous moment.